Hi everyone, good evening, guys. Today, today we're gonna talk about some interesting pictures that I found not that long ago. But first of all, we're gonna talk about player number one because somebody said that they don't understand quite what the player number one is actually playing. And the major game that player number one is supposed to be doing is taking other players out. So literally, you may say that player number one owns the table on what everyone is playing, owns the money on which everyone is playing, and owns the casino in which this game is actually occurring. So the one who is behind the player number one is actually the planner of this civilization, modern civilization, and they can direct us to any way they want. So let me screen share. Now, I think I'll show you some. This is the game that we used to play in the kindergarten. I don't know, did you play that game when you were in elementary school, kindergarten, whatever? So you might as well watch it. So then music plays, and when the music stops, they're supposed to sit on the chair, but one chair is missing, uh, and you have one more person more than the number of chairs. So when the music plays, everything is okay. Everybody's having fun. Look at the kids; they're having fun. They try to cheat a little bit, but oops, music stops playing, and this guy is out. So another chair is taken out, and that's how it goes. This is the game, the major game that they do. They take out one after another, stopping the music the way they want to stop it. They own the music, they own the information, they own the mass media. So you just can't play the game with them because they can stop the music anytime. This is actually symbolizes us, guys. We try to play this game, but we are lost because the rules of the game are under control. So capitalism and the game the banksters do is not for us. We will lose anyway, but that doesn't mean we don't have to do anything. That doesn't mean it. Though we have to be more cautious. Be cautious in that because any way you want, at some period of time, there will be no chairs for us, guys. If they take us, man after man, a country after country, so we're gonna be done pretty much soon. We have more people than chairs, you know what I mean? So here's some pictures of Italy after uh, close the second half of close to the 20th century, second half of 19th century. It was done maybe 1880. It's it shows the devastation and uh, let me show the name. Neglected, neglected, neglected state. everywhere. So let's see. Like, those people don't look very rich, although anyway, rich they or not rich, it's pretty dirty on the streets. Looks like people living in a mess. No one's cleaning stuff. They go and do their laundry in these little springs or whatever it is. It doesn't show that everything is alright. So they look like they're living in some neglected areas because I don't think there was enough goods for all those people, but they were gathered in one place to populate the abandoned areas, and after maybe 10 or 20 years they were still pretty much disappointed by what they had. They didn't have anything, and they were very, very poor, in fact. Although some of them, look at the pictures, some of them were pictured pretty rich, clothed and stuff like that, but there's always rich people, and rich people probably had more pictures than poor people because poor people didn't have the amount of money to get those pictures. I think it was pretty expensive at that time. So we see many pictures where people are middle class or higher, but we don't see many pictures of rich guys or of poor guys because they didn't have money to do that. That's why when you look at those pictures, you think everything's alright, but oops, you got a picture of poor guys and you can see how really things were at that time. Not that fancy. And we see these pictures of Troy and Column, as I was telling in this previous Mudflood videos, that the depth of excavation was up to 3 to 10 meters deep. So it's like 10 to 30 feet, or maybe even more. As you can see, this was also excavated. We can see the amount of soil still here, mud on the ground. And in fact, kids were looking lucky and funny. They also had always had fun, anyways, but still they were living in bad conditions. But they were happy to live, at least not to die, because I think they knew something that was really bad, what happened to their grandparents and stuff like that. We see these houses everywhere and they all look neglected, abandoned, not restored for a long time. Walls are all messed up. Nobody does restorations. So like living in a post-apocalyptic city abandoned by somewhere, and those people trying to fix the life trying to do something, trying to sell stuff like this, maybe playing music, who knows. The rich people look pretty happy too, but they're like not smiling like we do right now. They're just posing. Sometimes they have a little smile, but still, this is not the fashion that we have today. And again, when we see poor guys, we see they're happy to work. Look at those smiles here. And their parents definitely not very happy. Okay, that's Italy. Next one is USA. That's probably the same period of time that Italy was pictured at. And here we see pictures of boys, little boys that were working at that period of time. So how did that happen? These histories say that uh, the kids were taking the hardest, the most unwanted jobs, and they sometimes they were sold by their parents and stuff like that. So they literally were slaves. So this is white kid slavery, which was progressing at that time. I don't know, have you heard about it or not? But this is what it was in the beginning of 19th century and in the end of, or in the beginning of 20th century and in the end of 19th century. It was progressive. Like these were miners and worked pretty hard down there. Some of them don't look very young, but still, this is not older than 15, 16 years old. This one is maybe 12 to 13. Again, maybe one 16-year-old and two 13-year-olds. Although he is tall, he is like 16, maybe 17 at least. It's a 15, maybe 14-year-olds. Again, these are examples of another. In the big cities, how it was. Kids were working mailmans and stuff like that. They spend their paychecks in red light streets. They smoked, they drunk, or drinking alcoholic beverages. They were like really looking young, but doing everything they can to survive. For example, this one is pictured in June of 1911. His name was Raymond Bikes. He was the Western Union courier. His number is 23 in this list of pictures. As he says, he is 14, but I doubt it. I bet he is 12 or 13. He works every day till 1 a.m. in the night. He is pretty smart and intelligent to his age. He is a little rough, so he's like developed pretty well in intelligence and little rough. And he said that he sleeps often in a boat near the dock bay line the whole night. And several times he saw that his mother came to office, but it seemed like she was caring more about his paycheck, not about anything else, where her son is and stuff like that. So, and these are stories about everyone. This is was taken from Library of Congress, so you might as well check this thing. Okay, so. So there were plenty of those boys who were working, and the guy who was picturing this thing did it to show this problem to society. Okay, and here we see this picture about labor of child after the time that the flood actually occurred. So probably after the flood, that's how things were in Britain. So these are the kids from Britain of 19th century who were sentenced to the prison work. For example, this is Ellen Woodman, 11 years. She was assigned for 7 days on hard works for stealth of iron. This one, Jane Farrell, 12 years old. She stole a pair of shoes and was sentenced to 10 days of hard work. This one is Henry Leonard Stevenson, 12 years. Henry was sentenced and for the robbery and burglary and was sentenced to 2 months of jail in 1873. Looks like a bunch of kids left from the dead parents, and they were doing whatever they wanted to do and caught by people and sentenced for everything they did to survive, because sometimes their parents were drunk, so maybe sometimes their parents were dead from different disease. That's what we have in Russia. We also have a bunch of this kid stuff, and for example, we also have this bunch of pictures of uh, kids, not only after revolution, but only before that. There were also a bunch of kids who were orphans and stuff like that. So that's the consequence of what happened, because a bunch of people were dead and their kids couldn't have get the information how to grow their own kids, and that's why they just were so confused what to do, how to survive in this situation. So even sometimes they put their kids to jobs, which is like selling them to slavery, for slavery and stuff like that. Just imagine what situation those people and their parents were and how brainwashed they were at that time, so they can let the kids be a slave. The life of any of these kids is worth nothing. Probably most of them don't have parents. And those who have, their parents don't care about them anymore. They only care about some maybe paycheck or credit, debt payment and stuff like that. So we have any questions? Will you do video on St. Petersburg? Yes, pretty soon we're gonna do St. Petersburg. The problem with St. Petersburg is a bunch of information is around it, but still what we have in Russia, we have a bunch of this thing. Somebody calls them just round lakes. What we think is it was carpet bombed, and sometimes we see like several huge craters which are now lakes or maybe just craters, and sometimes we see this carpet bombing picture which was produced maybe on highly populated areas. So it was like a smaller craters, but in more numerous numbers. Okay. So St. Petersburg was probably the last city that was left. Maybe it was captured uh, and renamed after that. So right now we see also a bunch of these sinkholes in the northern part of Russia, which sometimes similar to those craters, but they actually show the mining activity before the flood, because sinkholes can be made like this can be made only if somebody had huge air bubbles underneath the ground, and that could be done by the block cave mining, which I showed in one of my previous videos about mining. I'm not saying it's the only reason that sinkholes can appear to be, but knowing the thing about mudflat, you can suppose that not long ago in those places the mining activity was produced by the previous civilization. Okay, do we have any more questions? Seeing all these craters, do you think what created all of them? Yes. We don't know exactly who made that strike, but somebody did. And as long as we know that they switched the history for us, I suppose they control the player number one, and they know how to make things going as they go. Because these kids were the last generation. Right now we had like Generation X and stuff like that, so maybe this one is Generation Y, and next one is going to be Generation Z. What's going to be next after that? Nothing. Because if we lose our kids, we're going to have such thing like this. Just a bunch of slaves hanging around, all covered with this surveillance digital gadgets, which track them completely, what they want, what they do, where they at, what do they talk about, what they show, what do they see, and stuff like that. So okay, since we don't have any more questions for today, let's finish this up. And so see you later, guys. Maybe tomorrow I'll do another great one about mud flood. See you later. Bye.